rally for we party and country. Vote for the PPPC. It is time to rally for we party and country. Vote for the PPPC.
Yes, comrades. Yes, friends. Very little could be added to this. To assure us, to assure me that Linden is for the PPP. Yes, my friends, what we have seen today, and I need to tell you, the same that is happening wherever the PPP has been in this election campaign. The bishop says it sends shivers in the opposition APNU. And we have to be confident of the victory. We are proud people, we in the PPP. And we are proud what we have achieved over 1992 to today, 2015. And we must not be afraid to show our pride, to go out there and proudly proclaim to all and sundry, we are PPP, People's Progressive Party. My friends, comrades, May the 11th will soon be upon us. May the 11th, my friends, in case you don't know, May the 11th is about our future. Your future, your generations to come future, the future of Guyana. And the decision that has to be made is whose hands we gonna put this future in. It's whose hands we gonna put this future in. And I say it belongs in the hands of the People's Progressive Party Civic. Let us recall that since the beginning of time and the beginning of politics here in Guyana, the People's Progressive Party has been there for you. From the 1950s, we have struggled. Chedi Jagan taught us how to struggle. And he said, manna is not going to come from heaven. Development is not ordained. That yes, we have to struggle for everything that we achieve here in Guyana, the People's Progressive Party. And my friends, from the years of 1950 all the way to 64, the People's Progressive Party has stood firm in its convictions to develop this country. We gave rise to the notion of service, a party at the service of Guyanese people, a party led by sound principles, a party that had values that endure. We fought against colonialism. And after independence, we fought against the PNC dictatorship. And for 28 years, we fought 1964 to 1992 until that fateful day on the 5th of October, 1992. And it must go down in the history books It must go down in the history of Guyana that the People's Progressive Party came to power on the strength of you, the Guyanese people. PPP. And comrades, what did we swear? We said we will rebuild. We will rebuild. The 28 years of destruction, divisiveness, racial disunity, disruption, all that the People's National Congress did in every part of this country. We said we will rebuild. And not only that, we confronted the naysayers who prophesied doom, who had nothing good to say, and would have had you believe that if we thought the 28 years of the PNC was bad, they actually told you that, wait, the PPP is going to be worse. Today, I join with you in being proud of our accomplishments from 1992 to 2015. Guyana has developed. The country has developed. There is mood. There is hope. There is expectations. And my friends, Guyana is going places under the People's Progressive Party Civic. The previous speaker spoke about the 10th Parliament, 2010 to 2013. But let me tell you, because it's all about the future, it's all about what happens in days or years to come, we have to be like the soothsayers. We got to read the tea leaves. We got to look at the trends so that we could know what to expect. And the contenders, the incumbent, the People's Progressive Civic, and the challenger, APNU AFC. And when we look at historical records, when we look at what was done over the years, particularly since 92 to 2015, what was done in the 10th Parliament, we can, as we did during the years of the colonial masters, compare and contrast. We can put on one side of the blackboard what the PPP has done, what the PPP has stood for. And on the other side of the blackboard, or if you ask me, a different blackboard, you could put the PNC and what they did and what they promised. And my friends, I say to you, they ain't got no right in the ring. They have no right to present themselves as an alternative to the People's Progressive Party Civic in Guyana. Any analysis, any evaluation, any review will clearly show that we build, we develop, we promote, we provide for progress. And when you look at what the PNC stands for, what they have done is sheer destruction, lick up, broke up. And today, unapologetically so, they don't give a damn. They're actually saying to you even to their own supporters here in Linden. Screw you. We in the PNC will prevail. That is what they're saying. By any means whatsoever. Intimidation, my friend, is in their genes. You can't stop these people. Shame. You can't stop them. Them write the book on intimidation. They got out and out intimidation. And then they got the quiet one, where they spread lies and rumors and half-truths and character assassinate people. Once you are with the PPP, I could tell you, I can write an epistle about these ragabonds and vagabonds and scamps and rogues. I could write a book and tell you what they have done and what they will do and what they are committed, but as they can't help themselves. They are, you can't teach old dog new trick. And intimidation and bullyism, that is another name for the People's National Congress. Another name for APNU, another name for APNU, AFC. And we have to reject it. We have to reject it and reject it consistently. And we have to say to them, in our new political culture, there would never, ever be a claim for intimidation of any Guyanese on the question of their choice of political allegiance and political parties. Yes, we are PPP. We are People's Progressive Party Civic. And by God, we're proud, and we will always be proud of being PPP Civic. And my friends, if they can't take it, so shall it be. Let us stuff it. Let us stuff it. They must know that we got a right, and a right that we will enjoy to support the People's Progressive Party Civic. My friends, comrades, we, by any means, as the bishop said, we are the sole alternatives. When you sit down and think of the absurdity of this APNU, AFC, trying to make you believe that they are better qualified to run this country. And when you ask them, who go run it? They put up the non-entities that decorate their lists. They put up all of these ex and current wrongdoers and criminals. They put up all of these aged, no good people from the past. They have also, worse than all, have shown an utter lack of the appreciation of the diversity of this country. Look at their list. Look at their list. And ask yourself, is who they think they represented? Who they think this, they claim a national party. And when you look at the list, it's a one-nation list. When you look at the list on the religious side, you can't believe that this country is home to three robust religious faiths. As far as the PNC, APNU, AFC is concerned, they ain't got three. At least them ain't got three that they care to respect, that they care to have numbered among their activists, among their leaders. And that is why we say the APNU-AFC is no alternative. I repeat, they don't belong in the ring. They have no right, moral or otherwise, to be confronting the People's Progressive Party. It is an act of supreme arrogance for them to say to you, to say to the Guyanese people that yes, we can do better than the People's Progressive Party. My friends, it stands to reason. A change is only for the betterment. When we came in 1992, our mantra, time for change, and it was evident change was needed. They lick up and broke up and mash up and destroy. This country was in ruins, non-credit worthy. No one argued there was all the need for change in Guyana by time 1992 dawned. In 2015, these vagabonds, these rascals, these purveyors of the truth would have you believe that there is some, I would have to say, some parallel, that what was there in 92 is similar to what is there today in 2015. And saying to us, on that basis, we need change. Comrade, what colossal impertinence. Colossal impertinence to sit down and to see and to participate. And the most hurtful parties, scams, rogues, and vagabonds. They have benefited. They have benefited from all the changes that the PPP Civic made. And they turn around and they force to assault your intelligence and tell you we there bye. We there worse than we ever been before. That is what they are saying to you. And my friends, we have to reject that in its totality. We have to say, like Jesus said, get behind us. Get behind us. Show them one side. Destroy them. Remove them from our midst. And let us focus on continuity. My friend, we have to focus on the future. We have to focus on the future. This is what this elections is all about. It's about in whose hands we want to see Guyana grow. And I'm saying to you that on all of the evidence that is before us, the best hands are those of the People's Progressive Party Civic.
Comrades, we go to you here, we come to you, and we go to the people, to all the communities across Guyana with one message, that over the last 22 years, we have served the people and we have had tremendous improvement in the quality of our lives here. We have made great progress and great advance. We have made the kind of advance that inspired me, and I just heard our HPS, myself back in 1967, to return to Guyana so that we could build Guyana. And so, as the word said, the words that used to be said then, we could burst open our country and make it a great, well-developed country. And I had given up hope of ever attaining such. But fortune smiled on me in 1990 when I answered the call, the kind invitation from the People's Progressive Party to join with them and Dr. Jagan to seek to turn things around once more and end that period of rigged elections and dictatorship. So comrades, we go to the people all across the country saying that we have been good stewards. If you look at our history, those years when the People's Progressive Party and the PPPC have been in office, those have been good years for Guyana and for all Guyanese, no matter their race or their religion or the place, the region in our country where they live, nor their political affiliation. The time when the PPP and the PPPC have been in office have been the good times for Guyana and Guyanese. And that's our message. And as I said, I am particularly pleased that I responded positively to the call to get into politics, even though I was already maybe many years, no longer very young. In 1990, I recall being invited to speak a bit up the road here on the 10th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Walter Rodney, and a few days later, I spoke at a national launching of GUARD, that group of citizens who had come together to work and to mobilize and to ensure that the 1990 elections, the elections we expected and which were due in 1990, that those would be different from those before, the earlier ones, that 1990 elections would have been an election that was free and fair and free from fear. And comrades, we did not have an elections until the October 5th, 1992. That was the third attempt. The first list had to be rejected in 1990, and there was another list that we had to reject again, and then we accepted a list that was close to being perfect, close enough for us to go forward because we wanted to bring about a change in our country. And that we have accomplished. We have brought about a change. And that change is evident here too in Linden. It's evident in Linden. Linden, as I have said on a number of previous occasions, has shared equitably in what we have. In all the grants and the concessional loans that we have received, and from our own budget, from our own revenues, Linden and the people of Linden have shared equitably. Some of the best school buildings we have now are in Linden, and as someone has said earlier, the hospital we have had, I know that there were a number of years when people in Linden were saying new hospital in Georgetown, a new hospital elsewhere in Berbice, and when we are going to get a new hospital, if we are going to ever get one. And then, comrades, we got the opportunity, and we have one of the best hospitals in Guyana here in Linden. And there has been questions about water supply, and now we have going into Linden what would be the best water supply in our country when it soon is commissioned, is completed and commissioned. So comrades, Linden, we have ensured that Linden has shared equitably in what we have, because we have always been committed to Linden, and the People's Progressive Party has always desired to get close to and to embrace the people of Linden. When we came into office, comrades, who remembers when we came into office, there was an international manager managing the bauxite industry here, and it came about the outgoing PNC administration had entered into an agreement that this manager would be here, this international manager would be here for some 2 to 3 years, and if the manager was able to turn the bauxite profitable, then there would be people wanting to come and purchase it, and it should be sold. But if he could not make it profitable, it was to be closed down, because bauxite should no longer be a drag on the fund and our country. That's what the agreement said. And I'm willing to admit that maybe the outgoing PNC administration that entered into it was maybe reluctant to enter into it, but they had to, and they did. And what did we do, comrade? When in 1994, the international manager said that he could see no way to make bauxite profitable, we should have closed down the bauxite industry here. But we didn't. We did not proceed with the agreement, but instead we kept supporting, subsidizing the industry here. And why we did it? Because we knew how traumatic it would have been on the people in this community and in the other bauxite communities. And we said we have to hold on. There were times when bauxite made a great contribution to our country. We have to hold on, and we have to look and see a better solution to this situation. And one of the things we proceeded with immediately was to approach the multilateral agencies for another intervention from them, another grant, another support from them, so that the people in Linden who had been living in a company town, a single business company town, would have an opportunity to develop their entrepreneurship and give play to their ingenuity and innovation and seek to diversify the economic activity here and ensure that there would be some good living for people in this area. And that is what we did. And I must say that heading this was our finance minister at the time, then young Bharat Jagdeo. I'm not saying he's old today, but that was maybe 20 years or so ago. He was heading that. And comrades, time has shown that we were correct. Time has shown that we were correct. And in time, we've had OMI come and offer to, and they take a leading role in the bauxite operations here. But you recall that after an initial period of about a year or so of things going well, what happened? You recall what happened? They then ran into trouble in difficult market times, and they too said, we will have now to close at least for a while, at least for 2 months. Do you recall that? The operations here were closed for some 2 months, and during that 2 months, our government, the People's Progressive Party Civic government, we did not stand by. We did not stand by. We came forward and said we would pay every worker a basic wage during those 2 months. And more than that, comrade, More than that, we took the position that to get that money, you had every worker, however young, however old, had to attend some appropriate computer classes for a number of hours to get that money. Because we wanted to ensure that our people here get going in this new modern world. Comrade, was that an action, the action of a government that does not like the people of Linden? Was that the action of a government that does not like the people of Linden? And indeed, some of the commentators, some of our political commentators turned that around against us. And in the sugar industry, they said, look and see what this PPP government, this PPPC government has done in Linden. They have pointed the people to the new developments, to computers. But what are they doing with us here in the sugar industry? They want to keep us cutting cane. So comrades, ask yourselves whether it is true that the opposition have been making out to the people of Linden that the PPP doesn't like them. There's a long history of people of the opposition bad-talking us to the people of Linden. And I recall that even in the 57-64 period, up at 1 mile, there is still there the first housing scheme that was put in by the PPP government in that period. And even today, in this 22-year period, you would see again new housing schemes that have flourished, particularly in Amelia's ward, but not only there, over here also. In the basin, in the area around the basin, we have new housing schemes, buildings that can hold their own with buildings in any other part of Guyana. There should be no question that this PPP Civic government has been in service of the people of Linden, the people of the bauxite communities, just as we have been in service to all the people of Guyana. And comrades, we recognize that Linden has particular problems. We have recognized that. We know that company towns, that many towns start as company towns exploiting one particular advantage, some natural resource, some particular situation, but history also say that they face a great challenge because other younger towns will be coming up for sure and then challenging them. And we've seen in the USA that town that prospered so much in the 50s and 60s and 70s when America was leading the way in producing motor cars, Detroit. We see what has happened to it today. Today in Detroit, half of the buildings, residential and industrial, are abandoned. So the challenges that Linden faced are not unusual. The challenges that Linden faced and still face to some extent are not unusual. And we have been managing, we have been aware of those challenges and we have been managing them. Comrades, you may recall that we've had programs working to diversify economic activity here. And to a large extent in Linden and Region 10, the economic life of the people has been diversified. Agriculture has grown in this period. We've had pumpkins grown in this Linden tongue, shipped to Barbados during that time. We've had the growth of the wood industry in Linden, and we have ever been working to bring new additional economic activity to Linden. I think, of course, of the call center in here, because this is a big growth area, a big potential growth area for our country and our people. We persisted. We had the first, a second, and a third investor in, but they did not make it. But the fourth investor is there, and our hope is he has been successful, enduring over the last number of years, and we are hoping and expecting that Linden will have a place in our country in the IT area. Comrades, our country has advanced over these years. Our country has advanced. Linden has advanced in many ways, and has been said earlier, and maybe said again in more detail. These days in 2015, as far as material things go, we are about 5 times as well off as we were in 1992. One only has to think about the amount of cars that there were in Linden in 1992. Cars and motor vehicles then and now. And I would like to challenge anyone, if it is not 5 times more today than it was in 1992. But it's not only in material things that we have advanced. It's not only in material things that we have advanced also in our freedoms to speak, our freedoms to say anything, our freedoms to give our mouths liberty. Comrades, when in 1990, myself and my wife and Mr. Randolph Anthony and Mr. Neil Kumar, when we picked up our placards in 1990 and marched along Republic Avenue or Vida Road, calling for fair and free elections, and we did the same thing here along Barnum Drive. Comrades, when we did that, many people laughed at us, and it may be of a good thing that they laughed at us, because serious things could have happened to us. And why do I say that? I say that because in that time, everyone was on the lookout for a trip to Georgetown. But after it was declared that I was running with Dr. Jagan and the People's Progressive Party, if I offered anyone a lift, they would say, boy, we don't know if them PNC people gonna go after you this trip here, and so we ain't gonna take the trip with you. And they would be laughing, but they would be serious too, because they didn't take the trip with me at a time when people were always on the lookout for a ride to Georgetown. So comrades, that is not the situation today. Our country has advanced materially and with respect also to the freedoms that we enjoy. Comrades, I see that I think I must speak to a particular question. Our country, because of its growth and development and its improvement, has advanced from being a hippie, highly indebted, poor country to a lower middle income country. And the various institutions have put us on notice that we no longer qualify for grants and concessional loans, that we must start thinking about paddling our own canoe. We have to start thinking about paddling our own canoes as a nation and all our communities. And for this reason, we again addressed a question that was out there since the 70s, the reform of electricity in Linden and its merger into our national grid. And comrades, in 2012, after that election, we engaged the PNC and the opposition in a discussion. We engaged them in discussion, and we accepted, if you recall, we accepted their proposal, and we increased old age pension even more than we had, because we too wanted to do more, but we didn't judge it was prudent. But with their insistence, we moved it up some. And next day, when we talked and we agreed that there was need to start a reform so that Linden will be based on a good foundation going forward, Linden will be built soundly as we go forward, we agreed. And I even read my address to Parliament. I even gave it to Mr. Granger and Mr. Rupert Rubenrein to check it. I changed 2 words. You know, the connotations may be different. I changed 2 words as they requested. And when I read it, they accepted it. And I felt that we are making a good move here to put Linden on a sound basis for the future. But what happened? What happened? The AFC people called down to the chairman here, and maybe Ms. Kisoon too, and told them that the PNC Apnu sold out on them. And what happened after that? They had to come down. They had to come down and meet the people here. But I want to say this, comrades. I want to say this. One of the problems, one of the challenges that this community has faced is that because of circumstances, the leaders of those days, the PNC leaders, tolerated and misguided people here in Linden, in the workplace. And that is why we have still today, that is why we have old union leaders in these areas who still believe that they are in the times of the 60s and 70s. But more than that, comrade, coming to today, we see what has happened to the regional chairman and Ms. Kisoon. It was said in the commission we had that they carry responsibility and they were a big cause of those sad events that happened. But they were misguided and misled. And when the time comes, they have been dropped. And that is something that this community has been suffering from. It has been responsive to leaders that have been misleading and misguiding this community. And that is how we should see these events in Linden in particular. And so, comrades, we come to you as we go to people all over the country, pointing out that we are building soundly for the future. When we came into government, we had nothing more and nothing else than the PNC had. And how is it that we could have turned things around and start this country upwards and a growth upwards? It was because we were realistic and we were disciplined. And I say this because, again, I hear the opposition talking about all the great increases in pay that they will give and all the reductions in taxes they will give. But comrades, if you run your house and you get out of balance, you're only putting up problems for the future. You may get your house taken away from you. And that is what happened to us in those 28 years, or nearly happened to us in those 28 years of the PNC dictatorship. Comrades, let me say one thing as I end, the opposition is making out that they have broken the problem of race in Guyana. Let them say so. We know that the People's Progressive Party, Dr. Jagan, and the PPP and the PPPC, we have been working to bring all our people together, all our races together since the 1940s. Let them say so, but let us hold them to it. They must set free the people of Linden so that they could vote rationally. When considerations of race are put aside, there is no good reason for anyone in Linden Region 10, or indeed all of Guyana, to do anything else on May the 11th than to vote for the People's Progressive Party Civic. Take a big, courageous step, all of you, and put your X alongside the cup.
With this amount of energy, how can we lose these elections? Comrades, we all stand here as proud members of the PPP family. And is there justification in this pride? There is justification in the pride because we have remained faithful to the philosophy of our party. And what is the philosophy of our party? That we shall forever, as the PPP, have our party open to people of all races, all religions, gender. We will always work with people to improve their lives. And our record in government has shown that we have remained faithful to those principles. We stand as the only national party in Guyana. And the contrived unity, this talk about unity that the PNC is going on with because they took two dissidents from the PPP and offered them a prime ministerial post and a vice president's post. That's not national unity. National unity is reflected in your policies. It's reflected in the list of candidates. It's reflected here in the diversity of our platform. It's reflected in the appointments we make in our cabinet. That is national unity, and we're proud of our record on it. And national unity is ensuring that people right across this country progress. So when I came here in the early days in the 90s and walked on that street, that's called Burnham Drive, and it was impassable. We had to fix Burnham Drive. We went into Victory Valley and walked the streets there and fixed some of them, working with people here in Linden to fix bridges here in Victory Valley. And we built a new hospital for $15 million US. And now, Granger came here and spoke about the color of the water. Look there, we're building 2 water treatment plants that will cost $2.5 billion right here in Linden. And we saved the 650 jobs in the bauxite industry right here. And in Kwakwani, when Aruraima walked away because the PNC union nudged them to walk away, everyone thought all the jobs would collapse. We took it over, we bought it Aruraima for $1, and then merged Burmine with Aruraima and got Russell and Allendorf to invest $150 million. As a result of this, 750 people now have a job in the Berbice River at Kwakwani. This morning, I came from New York, and I did not want to miss coming to Linden. Because I listened to the PNC rally that they had there. And Nagamotu is in the press conference, I said, I find it hard to respond to anything he said because it's all about fluff. But Nagamotu has been diagnosed with megalomania. And megalomania means an unhealthy obsession with yourself. For 60% of his speech, he speaks about himself, how great he is, how wonderful he is, how beautiful everything around him. 90% of what he says are lies. We have exposed those. So I'm not going to spend a minute of my time more on Nagamotu. He's a waste, he was a waste, and will always be a waste. And Granger came and said his biggest thing was he wants to get a computer to every school child. And that is his ICT plan. But it was the same Granger who cut the money for the computers to every family. Double standards, double speak. Granger came here, he cut the money. They cut the money for solar panels for the Riverine area and for the Amerindian communities. They cut $4 billion from the budget for Amerindian development. Under the PNC, regions 1, 7, 8, and 9, Amerindian regions. No secondary education for the kids there. Today, we have built several secondary schools with dormitories that can now accommodate those kids from the hinterland. And you know what? We haven't stopped there. Hundreds of them are on scholarship in Georgetown. We have over 70 hinterland kids that went on scholarship abroad. Hinterland and riverine kids that have come back as young doctors and engineers. And when we tried to take hinterland and riverine kids to President's College, they said we lower the standard of President's College. That is how they saw hinterland and riverine people. But those kids, after a few years, one girl from the hinterland region topped President's College. We're proud of that. And they talk national unity. And that is how they see people of other races. So comrades, we have I want to talk to two sets of people here tonight. The first is the people who live in Wismar and in Mackenzie, in Linden. I know that for the past 3 years, the PNC, the APNU, has used the region to bully people. They have quietly been bullying people. Even over the last few days, they've been saying to them, if you go to the PPP rally, you're going to face consequences. Just a few months ago, they walked and they tried to climb onto our platform. Imagine we had a meeting and they tried to mount our platform. They promised to burn down people's houses if they give electricity to us here in Linden in this day and this age. And they're preying on the fears of people here because they're good. They have a good machinery to bully people. And I don't think they ditch Kisoon. I think they left her off the list so she can continue with their thuggery. I think they left her so that she can continue with the thuggery. They collected tons of money and created problems. Some people lost their lives. Sam Hines mentioned about their role in instigating that problem. Because we spent $25 billion over the last 10 years on electricity subsidy here. We have been in the forefront of the struggle for change in this community. And so, the blood is on their hands, if there is any blood. And they will keep intimidating you. They will tear down our flags. They will tear down our posters. But let me say to the people in this community, you have seen us work over the past decades, work to change your lives, work in a way that doesn't exclude Region 10 from development, not because it didn't support us. And when you go in the ballot box, Vanessa Kissoon, Solomon, Granger, none of the others can't intimidate you because they're not going to see how you vote. And I ask you to teach them a lesson. Say to them, no to intimidation. Vote for the PPP Civic when you go into the box. Because walk quietly, don't say a word to the people of Wisma and to Mackenzie. And then in the riverine areas, in the Berbice River, the Demerara River, the mines, let me say that the regional administration, we have pumped tons of money into this region. And they have a slogan now, it is time. I agree it is time. I agree it is time to change this regional administration. Because for the past 50 years, the PNC has run this region. Let's change that now. Let us kick these people out of the region and you will see how this region will progress. You will see they are running the region and they criticize us. Give us the power to run this region too, like we're running at the national level, and then you will see the progress. We're not going to discriminate against people who live in the Berbice and the Demerara River as they do. They keep everything here for the center, and half of it is stolen. That's not going to happen if we run this region. We got 17% of the votes in this region the last time. Let us make a difference. In the river itself, if we have everyone showing up, we had a low turnout in the Berbice River the last time. Some confusion with the list. People's names were in the right places. Let us ensure that every single person from the Berbice River, from the mines, from the Demerara River, they show up. Because if they show up, even if we don't win the region, we probably get one of the regional seats. And we can then use that to make a difference here. Comrades, I'm proud of our record. We took a bankrupt country and made it economically viable. We made it to the most progressive country in the region, the most dynamic country in the region, 9 years of continuous growth. Everything we've touched, we have moved it forward. So today, I know I'm going to stop speaking now because we have two very important persons. We're very proud of Elizabeth Harper. Elizabeth Harper ran the foreign ministry. She was the head, the lead technical person in the government at the foreign ministry level, and she's a very competent person. Compared to Nagamutu, it's like comparing chalk to cheese. Now, and Ramatar never snatch ballot boxes and steal people's votes. In fact, he was fighting for their freedom all his life in the PPP. And Ramatar didn't give 400 guns to his party, and the guns are now finding their hands in the way of criminals. And Ramatar is not delusional to deny that we've had rigged elections in this country. And Ramatar is not stuck in a philosophy of the past, particularly an economic philosophy. And let me say something further to you in this region. Granger came and he said, we will chase away the Chinese, the Indians, the Brazilians, the Russians. Well, if you chase the Russians away from the Berbice River, you can't keep the 750 jobs there. And if you chase the Chinese away from here, you're going to lose the 650 jobs. And they will do like what they did in the past. Solomon would be running the bauxite industry for 2 weeks and then it would collapse. That is what they want. And they promise to manage the resources of our forests so beautifully. We promised that we want to preserve 99.5% of our forests. It's part of our low-carbon development strategy that we tabled in the National Assembly. But in the 0.5 of our forests, we can increase logging. We can ensure that more people have incomes. They plan to ban logging. They plan to ban export of logs. You know, if they do that, what will happen to Region 10? The tens of thousands of people whose lives depend on forestry. Listen to them. He plans to do this. And you know who is led by the nose? By Vulcan. Because Vulcan and the others were doing furniture until they became bankrupt. They tried to get us to invest in their bankrupt country. We refused to do that. They went to the PNC. Because they want logs banned, the export of logs banned, so they will get cheap logs here for their furniture. But they can't take up 5% of what we produce now. What's going to happen to the 95% others? They'll kill livelihoods in the Berbice River and for people in Linden. This because they're stuck in that old philosophy. The philosophy that you chase away everybody from this country and that they take over everything. That is why they're going back to 3 vice presidents, a prime minister and a president. In the United States of America, you have a president and a vice president running the biggest economy in the world. And we need 5, as in Granger's word, jackasses to run our country. A small country. So I ask you to be conscious of what we are faced with. They have no plans about the future. We have outlined all of our plans. We can compete on the character of our candidate, we can compete on our track record, and we can compete on the vision for the future. We in the PPP, we can lead this country to greater prosperity, to a better life for all of our people. Thank you very much, Comrade.
Thank you, thank you. I love you too, I love you too. Thank you. Lindeners and residents of Region 10 and fellow Guyanese, today I am proud to stand before you representing all facets of the Guyanese woman. A mother, a wife, a sister, a friend, a working woman, and a woman totally dedicated to her family. Thanks. Today, I'm speaking to you in a community where my mother lived at 392 Morris Street, and she worked at the Bauxite Company from 1947 to 1956. As a woman, I can attest to the importance of a strong family to support not only what we want to achieve as women, but also as one of the pillars upon which stable societies are built. The PPPC has always recognized the critical role that women can play and should play in our nation-building process. Our list presented on nomination day abides by that Constitution. Our party believes in the full respect for human rights, in particular the rights of women. Our rights to choose and be involved in the political life of our country. Our right to a fair and decent work and equal pay, and our right to further education, to develop our careers, to have businesses, and to be fully respected in our homes. As Prime Minister of Guyana, I will therefore work with His Excellency President Donald Ramotar and the Cabinet and with other stakeholders to ensure that the progress made in the past 2 decades in empowering our women and girls is safeguarded and further enhanced. As women, we embrace our men as equal partners, and we encourage you men to support us. I'm seeing many young people in our midst here tonight, many eager faces, and I want to say something to you. You are one of the most valuable assets of our nation, and our party is committed to engaging them fully in the decision-making process. We want to encourage you to stay and help build Guyana. And our manifesto includes encouraging incentives for employment for young people and increased training and for more interaction and dialogue so that we could hear and discuss your views and your concerns so that together we can move forward with full decision making with you on board. During my last visit to Linden recently, I had the opportunity to tour a number of business places, and I was particularly impressed by the Toucan call center and the number of young people who were employed there and the obvious potential for this business for its expanded growth. I noted too that it is owned and operated by CARICOM nationals from St. Kitts and Nevis. This is foreign investment in Linden. It is a tangible demonstration of the benefits of the CARICOM single market and economy, and we have much more to gain. I also met the project coordinator for Youth Vision, which helps students to be empowered through various programs and pioneering vocational training. And this is an initiative which my party strongly encourages. My party's vision for our young people includes establishing youth entrepreneurial skills training programs where youths from all 10 administrative regions will be offered the opportunity to have a second chance in specific skills area. The technical institutes, including the one in Linden, will be specifically targeted to carry out this opportunity. Our party is aware that there is always more that could be done to bring development to communities in Guyana. And so in our manifesto, emphasis has been placed on Linden and Region 10 in the following areas. We will create a special development fund for Region 10. This will be patterned off of the Amerindian Development Fund to encourage jobs and wealth creation activities. We will establish a regional sports facility in Linden. ICT parks and infrastructure will be established across the country, and Linden and Region 10 will be beneficiaries of this initiative. We will strengthen the capacity of the regions and district hospitals to reduce the number of referrals to the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, particularly concerning pregnancy cases. We will strengthen the capacity of regions and districts to develop appropriate levels of care through the construction, equipping, and staffing of new strategically located health centers, polyclinics, hospitals, hospital wards, and training facilities. We will establish sub-regional diagnostic centers in the hinterland areas of Region 1, 7, 8, 9, and 10 in the Berbice River. We will recruit foster families and promote the foster care program. We will establish a program for single parents to be assisted and supported so that they could receive further training and we will ensure that daycare services are provided for those of them who work. And we will also make sure that when you're supposed to get that support through the court, that it is paid over. We will establish retirement homes for senior citizens in the regions. We will ensure the promotion of the rights of persons who are differently abled. We will establish a special victims unit to process reports with confidentiality, to make sure that people can go and report incidences of abuse without being ridiculed and without their evidence being compromised. We will create regional solid waste landfill sites across the administrative regions from regions 2 to 10. And as was mentioned previously, 2 new state-of-the-art and environmentally friendly water treatment plants will be completed in Linden at Amelia's Ward and in Wizrock, along with the installation of transmission mains and upgrading of distribution systems. These interventions will significantly improve the quality of water and level of service to the entire population of Linden. Fellow Guyanese citizens of Linden, Region 10, the PPPC remains steadfast in its commitment to advance the economic and social development in all of the communities of this nation. The government has been pursuing its development objectives with the assistance of our regional and international partners, and will continue to build on these relations. I also want to acknowledge the contribution which people who have left Linden and gone to live abroad have been making to the Linden community in particular and to our country in general. And our aim is to encourage greater involvement by the diaspora in our development initiatives. So, fellow Guyanese, it was a pleasure to stand here to speak to you. I thank you for listening to me. There's a lot more that we want to tell you. I will be coming back to Linden to speak with you. Working together, we can move Guyana forward. Let progress continue with the PPPC. Vote on May the 11th for the PPPC and the cup of prosperity. Thank you.
Comrades and friends, we are here tonight because on May 11th, we have to ensure that the course that Guyana is on, that we will continue on that course, and you will vote for the PPP Civic for another victory in our country. Elections are about records, and elections are about the future. We have a proud record that we can stand on. We don't have to hide from our past. We don't need to change our name. The only people who change their names are criminals and bandits and scamps. And they up new. They up new. It's the same old PNC we're dealing with. And that is why we have to ensure that on May 11th, the PPP Civic is returned with an absolute majority in the parliament. And let me tell you, comrades, the comrades before you, me, they told you that we inherited a bankrupt country. And that is the God's truth. Not only according to me, but the man who they want to put back as the Minister of Finance, Carl Greenwich, in a signed affidavit. A signed affidavit that we have in our hands.
he said that in 1992, that our debt was 925% the size of our economy. 9.5 times bigger than our economy. This is the man who was responsible for that, and this is the man they want to impose on you again after this elections. He went on to say that our foreign debt was 951% of our international revenue. And he added that to service that debt, to pay back that debt, it was 153% of our revenue. What does that mean? It means that the PNC APNU had brought this country to a stage where we had to borrow to pay back debt. That is how they ruined our country. And what is the situation today, comrades? The situation today is that our debt is less than 60% of our economy. We brought it down from 950% to 60% of our economy. And we brought down the debt payment from 153% of our revenue to 4% of our revenue today. And yet these people talk about governance. Never before did our country have the economic management that it has today in Guyana. Comrades, our country has been transformed. Over the last 9 years, we had positive economic growth. But more than that, over the last 3 years, with an opposition that set about to damage our country, that set about to ensure that every plan that we make in order to lift the quality of life of our people, they plan to sabotage them. And they did that deliberately in many instances, not by accident. Let me remind you of only 3 instances to show you how they try to damage Guyana's welfare and the welfare of our people. You know about the anti-money laundering bill. That bill came about from the United Nations Security Council because the international community believed that money laundering, drug trafficking, trafficking in persons, that the money made from those proceeds goes to finance terrorism. And they wanted all the countries of the world to have similar type of legislation to ensure that the criminals and the terrorists do not get hold of this money. And if your country do not pass the bill, the international community was ready to try to blacklist your country. And if that happens, it will affect the whole economy and everyone in it. The opposition, on 2 occasions, not one, but on 2 occasions, voted against the anti-money laundering bill. In fact, by voting against the anti-money laundering bill, they voted against the ordinary people of our country, and they voted to protect criminals to make Guyana a haven for international criminals. They took the side of the criminals. And comrades, why are we surprised about that? We heard during the Rodney Commission of Inquiry that they were taking weapons from the army, giving it to their party people and giving it to criminals. So much so that when the police had confrontation with the bandits in Maikoni and they killed some of them, they found some of the same weapons that the PNC gave into the hands of the criminals. You remember too the 31 weapons that were missing from the army. It was used on the East Bank, the Marara massacre, where 8 people were killed. And they were used in Lusignan, where children were shot and killed in their bed. This is the kind of people, the monster we are dealing with, and we must prevent them from coming to power in this country at all costs. Comrades, look at them. Every time the police and the law enforcement people, every time they have confrontation with criminals and bandits, the PNC comes out. They comes out in defense of the criminals, and they attack the police. They attack the police. They even celebrate on the street when some policemen were killed, when you had the crime spree at the last time. They said they were celebrating the death of some policemen. But again, we should not be surprised, because these were the same people who desecrate the flag of Guyana by putting it on Blackie's coffin. A criminal. More than that, comrades, who were the people, who was the lawyer that got off the criminals who murdered the people in Lusignan, even though you had eyewitnesses to the case? Nigel Hughes. And how did he get them off? By a conflict of interest. The foreman of the jury was his client for more than 7 years. And he claimed that he did not know that. He did not remember the man. Moreover, this was the same man who took the video out of when the man was murdered in Buxton. They went to the gas station, and he was the one who removed the video from there. My friends, they allowed Buxton to be held hostage to criminals. They allowed the criminals to carry on all kind of atrocities in that village. And the criminals could not have been in that village without the political support of the PNC. That is one of the reasons they have changed their name. They want to hide from those past that they have done. My comrades, elections, as I said, is about records. And it's about the future as well. Why have we been able, the other reason, the other point, sorry, before I go on, the other 2 points I want to bring to your attention to show you how they set out deliberately to damage our country. I recall that we had a law, we have a law in this country, the environmental law, where we were taxing plastic bottles from coming in to our country. And a company from Suriname sued the government because they said, according to the treaty they signed with CARICOM, it was discriminatory because we were not applying it to banks DIH and DDL. We decided to go to Parliament to change the law, to reduce the tax from $10 a bottle to $5 a bottle, but to apply it to banks DIH and DDL as well as everyone else. The opposition voted against that, and the people won the case in court. And now we will have to pay millions of US dollars because the opposition deliberately set our country up to waste money in that way. And moreover, the new airport we want to build. In 2013, they voted for the new airport in the Parliament. And by doing that, they allowed us to go and sign and make a contract with a contractor to build a new airport. And the next year, last year in 2014, they cut the budget again, meaning that if we did not put back that money, our country would have been exposed. We would have been exposed to another litigation where we would have had to pay billions of dollars to have nothing constructed because it would have been a breach of contract. Clearly, this is not accidental. These people have set out deliberately to obstruct development in Guyana. You have heard too of how they wanted to cut the budget. They wanted to cut the budget for us to provide the electric light, the solar panels for our people in the interior and the riverine community. They moved also to cut the Amerindian Development Fund. Comrades and friends, we have made tremendous progress in developing the people in the interior by providing and making accessible education, health services, and other facilities that were badly lacking. Nowadays, more Amerindian students are studying at the University of Guyana than ever before. More Amerindian students are in the Teachers College than ever before. More Amerindian students are studying abroad than ever before. And Region 9, let them have their own Amerindian doctors to look after their people there. And comrades, our investment there is not only humanitarian. It is important because we see the interior as very important growth pole for our economy in the future. Mining, processing, manufacturing, this is the area that will contribute tremendously to the development of our country. And we therefore have to create the human capital. We have to create the people's capacity to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that we're opening up now to our people. But the opposition again, they provided nothing in the past. Nothing in the past. Comrade Jagdeo reminded you just now, I was in Parliament at the time. I was sitting in the Parliament when we started to bring bright students from the interior. And the only place we had to put them, because the only school in Georgetown that had a dormitory was President's College. And when we want to put them there, they said that we wanted to bring down the standards of President's College. What were they saying? What were they saying? They were saying that the Amerindians or the people in the interior were inferior to the people on the coast. Would we ever want to have such people to sit in government ever again? And comrades, we persisted. We persisted. And that is why I was very happy when an Amerindian girl from the Northwest District topped President's College as the best student in that area. Comrades and friends, why have we been able to progress despite the fact that they have put every obstacle in our place? We were able to progress because we invested in you, the people of our country. Before the PPP came into office, the PNC used to spend more money on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs than they spent on health, education, housing, water, and agriculture put together. They were doing that because while they were destroying our country, while they were sending people to jail for having flour and potatoes and sardine and corned beef in their house, they wanted to tell the outside world that everything was hunky-dory here. Comrades, we have changed that. We have changed that. Today, the biggest the biggest sector of our economy is our social sector. The biggest spending goes to our social sector. More than 30% goes to education. Where in the world do you hear a government giving the student all their textbooks, all their exercise books, school uniforms? And last year, we gave every parent $10,000 for every child they had in school. And you know what? The opposition wanted to cut that from the budget. If we did not put back that money, we would not have had the money to give you the $10,000 per child. I told another meeting the other day that my father was a timberman, and he was a very productive timberman. He had 9 of us, 9 children in the family. That's a timberman. And if the government was then giving $10,000 per child, my old man would have had a lot of money and saved himself a lot of gray hairs. But that shows you we give that to you to also to encourage you to keep your child in school. We provide meals in school, and in schools where we have dormitories, we provide all the meals. So, in that way, we were helping you to keep your cost of living down. You don't have to buy books. You don't have to buy uniform. We give you now $10,000 to keep your child in school. And moreover, we spend money to have a TV channel, an education channel. So instead of watching The Young and the Restless, you can also look at the education programs that we have. Comrades, all these things we have done in the face of fierce opposition. The same PNC now who are talking about education, they went in the last budget and cut the fund that we have to lend students money to attend the University of Guyana. How can they talk about young people? How can they talk about youth? When they talk about youth, they have no meaning to those things. They don't want our young people to strive. They stopped in every way to stop these things from taking place. Comrades, they have, as I said, every way they tried to prevent us from going forward. But still, we grew every year by 4.5% and 5% per annum. But had we had the majority in the parliament, or if we had a minimum cooperation from them, we could have been growing at about 10% per annum. But comrades, after the government is re-elected, when we were re-elected on May 11th of this year, we will build more projects to ensure that we create more jobs for our people, more places for our people, more educational levels for our people. Because we want to attract investment in Guyana. Not because of cheap labor. We want to attract investment because we have a highly developed and educated workforce. We want to be like a Japan, where we attract investment on the cutting edge of technology. And that is why one of the projects we have in mind is to build a new deep water harbor. A new deep water harbor is important because the Panama Canal is now being expanded, and bigger ships will be coming to our shores. And we cannot accommodate those ships unless we have a deep water harbor, but also to make our country a maritime hub. We want to pave the road from Linden to Lethem. And that road will allow South America, and particularly Brazil, to do their international trade via Guyana. And that will create enormous amount of jobs throughout the length of our country. Not only in the Barbies area, but right here. Because such a road, we will have to have mechanical repair shops, motels, hotels, restaurants, and we will be able to create hundreds of new jobs in that way. Moreover, we believe that information and communication technology must play a vital role in every sector of our economy. We already see that Qualfan, a company from Mexico, that they already employ more than 3,000 persons. A few weeks ago, I was in the opening of a new building that they built in the Providence area, where they will employ more than 900 persons there. And you heard Elizabeth Harper mentioning to you that when we win, we will put IT parks in the different regions, including right here at Linden, so our people here will be able to benefit from that. Comrades, not only will we benefit from that, but we are looking to the high areas to have telemedicine, tele-engineering, and all of these possibilities that will be open to us in the near future. This is the direction that we're going to educate our people and to prepare them for a future that could be very, very bright. A new area is coming on stream. As we speak, there is drilling going on in our offshore area, looking for oil. All the experts are saying that Guyana has a large reserve of oil on its continental shelf. And we are now optimistic that very soon we will join the club of being an oil and gas producing country. That too will create an enormous amount of jobs. That is why we have been also creating technical institutes. And Linden, Region 10, has a very rich history coming from the bauxite industry as producing highly technical people. And people here can therefore look forward to benefit from not only directly from the oil and gas production, but the spin-off industries that it will also create throughout the length and breadth of Guyana. Comrades, this is where we are going. This is where we want to take Guyana to. We have said before that we have repaired and fixed and built new infrastructure that was able to move us from being a poor and bankrupt country to now being a middle-income developing country. But we have the capacity. We have the people. We are an educated and industrious people. And we have the capacity to go to another level of development. But we need the new infrastructure to put ourselves in order. For instance, we need to have, in order to develop our tourism potential, we need to have new infrastructure, the new airport. We need that. Oh, and we are going to fix that so that the areas can benefit and our economy can be broadened. We need to use our intermediate savannas for new crops like soya and corn. We need to expand the coconut industry. These are all areas that we see huge possibility for growth and development, for creating employment, creating wealth, so that we can do more for the people of Guyana. Comrades, but most of all, you know, Comrade Sam mentioned to you just now that we have come a far way in looking after the electricity problem. But we still need to have cheaper energy so that we can build an industrial, an agro-industrial country to process things and to make more things in Guyana. To do so, we need to have hydroelectric and cheap energy. And we were already moving to that direction to build the Myla Falls. We should have started 2 years ago. That would have created employment itself. And not only would it have created employment now, but it will open huge possibilities for new kinds of technical jobs and higher paying jobs in our economy. This is what they sacrificed. This is what they voted against. But I'm telling you, tonight, as I've said in other places, I'm saying here, that when we win the elections on May 11th, we will continue to build the Myla Falls. And more than that, my dear, more than that, we want to make our country a powerhouse as far as energy is concerned. We are already working with the Brazilians to develop other hydroelectric potentials so that we will be able not only to satisfy our own needs, our own power needs in our country, but we will bring our country to the stage where we can export energy to our neighboring country, particularly Brazil. These, comrades, are some of the things that we are working on and that we will bring on stream. Comrades, but elections is also about character. It's about also who you bring to power in our country. I said to you before that the PNC is using the old three-card trick, changing their names to hide from their past. And they are the same people. For instance, who is David Granger? David Granger was head of the army. He was a commander in the army. When Walter Rodney was murdered, Joseph Harmon was in the intelligence unit of the army when Walter Rodney was murdered. And now they talk about honesty. If they want to prove how honest they are, then they should go to the Rodney Commission and say what they know. They cannot. They have an opportunity. They have an opportunity to be honest. And this is the opportunity we have given them to come clean. But again, we see them not coming clean. Who else? What else did he do? He was the head of the army. When two young men at number 64 village, Jagan Ramasar and Bolanath Parmanan, were murdered because they asked for the votes to be counted at the place of poll. He was there. He was there all the time. And he now trying to play that he doesn't know. When Burnham wanted to take control of the University of Guyana at the time when the PYO defeated them at the university elections in the 1970s. And he said, never again will that happen. He changed the board of governors at the University of Guyana. And who were the men he chose to be tools to change that? It was Hamilton Green, and David Granger was the other one that he chose to do that. So he was deeply involved in the past. That is why he is probably the only historian in the world who said that they're not interested in history. He don't want to know his past. Comrades, and what about Nagamutu? Nagamutu up to 2011, up to 1 month before the 2011 elections, he had no problems with the PPP. In fact, in 2006, he went on our platform at a rally and he said the AFC was asking him to come on board, but he said he was not a Nimakaram. But he proved to be more than a Nimakaram. He's a Harakati. That is what he is. Comrades, this man, why is it, as I was said just now, he's obsessed with himself. He also did a lot of investigative journalism when Walter Rodney was killed. He accused the PNC of murdering Walter Rodney. Today, he is refusing to go to the Rodney Commission to say what he knows, to produce his notes. He is now defending the people because he feels that if the truth comes out, it will affect their electoral chances. That is the dishonesty. That is the dishonesty and the character we are dealing with. Comrades, don't worry that we talk about Rupnarain. Who need enemies if you have friends like Rupnarain? He was supposed to be, I see a comrade in the crowd here, Cedric Smith. He knows a lot of story. He knows a lot of that past time. And they know he was supposed to be a bosom friend of Rodney. And up to now, he cannot provide any evidence. He refused once more. He is now hand in glove with the killers who he accused in the past of killing Walter Rodney. One wonders who he was all these years. One wonders who he was and what role, what was the real role that he played. Comrades and friends, character is extremely important. We want to have Greenwich as our finance minister. These are the same people who talk about corruption. But we know in the dying days of the PNC, he transferred the house that was owned by Guyana Stores, paid $4 million for a fancy house in Bel Air. And these are the people who now come to you and say that we are clean and you should elect us to the government. Who is Winston Felix? Winston Felix was the commissioner of police when he was caught on tape talking to Basil Williams. Basil Williams was then the chairman of the PNC. And he said Basil Williams was thanking him from diverting the attention of throwing the police off, sending them in another direction, and diverting the public from the real people who control the criminals. And he's admitted that he did that. He laughed and said, yes, but now things coming out and I can't cover up anymore. This is the same man who is also caught on tape when Some money was lost in Congress Place. Some money was lost in Congress Place. And the security called him. He was commissioner of police. Called him to tell him that this woman, they suspect a woman stole the money and she might be leaving the country. And he said, leave that to me. I will put cocaine on her. This is the man you want to be Minister of Home Affairs in this country? Comrades, this is the character. This is why I say it's about character. It's about policies, programs, and character. We know that they don't have any program. We know that they're now dishonestly trying to steal some of what we are doing to try to say it is their program. For instance, tell me if this is not dishonesty. David Granger, Moses Nagamutu, and all of them voted against giving money to the sugar industry for it to survive. Voted against it. And now Granger is saying sugar is too big to fail. He had an opportunity to help, but he voted against it. Now he's saying sugar is too big to fail. And Nagamutu tried to cut it, only when the workers came out that forced them to back down. Comrades, this is what we're dealing with. People who are dishonest. He voted against their Myla Falls. All of them voted against their Myla Falls. And now Granger is saying that he wants to set up an Upper Potaro Hydro Commission or something like that. Again, they had an opportunity. He's now saying that he wants to pass the anti-money laundering bill. But all of them, 2 times they had an opportunity to vote for it, and 2 times they voted in favor of the criminals in our society. Can we trust them? Comrades, this is what we have to remember. And remember too, as far as their policies are concerned, that they had no policy when they were negotiating to form their coalition. They were not arguing about what is good for Guyana, what policies are good for our country. They were arguing to see who will be president, who will be prime minister, who will be home affairs, who will be finance. This is what they were arguing about. Clearly, for them, development is not the most important thing for them. For them, the most important thing is to have power to do what they want. And comrades, let me tell you this. These people are completely and absolutely dishonest. That they cannot be trusted. That they cannot be trusted with anything. Right here in Linden, look at their list for B2C. Who will be a member of parliament from Linden? Not a person from Linden. Not a person from Linden is on their list who will make it to be a member of parliament. They ignored. They are telling you, the people of Linden, that they don't trust you, that they can't find among you, anyone that they can put on their regional or their national top of list who will be a member of parliament here. Comrades, my friends, these people have no loyalty. They have no loyalty. They have no commitment. It's a cabal. It's a cabal. And the dangerous thing is this. I see a new trend. I don't know if it's a new trend developing in the world. But I see in Egypt, not so long ago, that the army men took off their uniforms and they put on business suits. But they're still shooting people on the streets of Cairo. They're still shooting people on the streets of Cairo. And here again, we see all of these former army people, some of them who were involved in handing out guns, now grasping for political power in our society. Comrades, I want to join with my comrades here who told you that you should not be you should not be cowed. You should not be afraid. The future of our country lies in your hands. I heard that one PNC official, James Bond, on Friday at a rally, he called on his supporters to put out their children from their houses if they did not vote for the APNU AFC coalition. He called on people to put their children out. All of that is directed to try their best, to do their best, to intimidate you and to cow you. Remember, this government, this PPP Civic government has brought prosperity to every region of our country, whether they vote for us or not. Remember what Amelia's ward was like before we got in government. It was waste, worked out bauxite land. Nothing was there. The land was there. The PPP, I know that we did a lot of things, but we don't do miracles. We can't make land. It was there all the time. It is we who built the housing scheme for thousands and thousands of people to give them their own homes. Block 22, another worked out area, worked out bauxite land, was there lying in their time. They did nothing with it. We built more houses for our people there in our society because we care for our people. My dear comrades and friends, the future of this country lies in your hands. We have a proven track record. We have stood beside you in every way. The comrades who spoke before me mentioned to you the struggle they had to keep the bauxite industry going, both here and in the Berbice area. We have stood by you at every stage. And today, I ask you not only for your own sake, not only for our sake, but for your children's sake, and for the sake of the future of this country. I ask you on May 11th to stand by the PPP Civic, to stand by me, and let us take our country forward. Thank you very much for your attention.
It is time to rally for we party and country. Vote for the PPPC.